Hello, everyone. For those I have not yet met, my name is Britt Tastad, Executive Strategy Officer, and I have the privilege of working alongside Dr. Baljit Singh, our Vice President Research, and I'm honored to welcome you to the 4th Annual VPR Campus Address. I know this is a busy week, so I want to thank you so much for joining us, the ones in the room, and I think there's approximately 100 online as well, so thank you. I also want to give a special thanks to our media production team who have made this event accessible to everyone. I want to acknowledge that we are here on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with each other. We like to begin the event in a meaningful way, featuring an artistic performance that highlights the breadth and diversity of scholarly work at USask. In just a moment, we'll hear a poetry reading from Dr. Sherry Benning, who is an assistant professor in the Department of English. Her work beautifully reflects the intersection of creativity and scholarly insight and showcases how art can enrich our understanding of human experience and the world around us. Dr. Benning grew up on a farm in central Saskatchewan, Treaty 6 territory. She has published 4 collections of poetry. Her most recent collection, Field Requiem, was shortlisted for the International Derek Walcott Prize for Poetry and the Canadian Pat Lothar Memorial Award, as well as 2 Saskatchewan Book Awards. Her new collection, Saskatchewan Georgic, is forthcoming in 2026. Following the poetry reading, Baljit will start the program. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Benning as she shares us her work, Viaticum.
Thank you very much, Britt. The image behind me is from a sculptural installation by my sister, Heather Benning, with whom I regularly collaborate. It's from one of her more well-known projects, Dollhouse, which saw Heather restoring an abandoned farmhouse to the date of its abandonment in the 1950s. The poem I'm about to read attempts a similar restoration. It evokes a beloved place. Such places can be wellsprings of strength and inspiration, and our return to them, if only in our mind's eye, can provide strength and inspiration as we embark on exciting new endeavors. The poem evokes spring seeding in Saskatchewan, a time of renewal and promise, much like the start of a new academic semester. Viaticum. These things I remember: the light encrusted wheat, speargrass, meadow brome, the pasture's first bay's flush, late April. When tears are my meat day and night, metal on metal echo in the farmyard, late afternoon. Oil-stained coveralls. He's fixing tines on the heavy harrow while she sweeps grain bins for truckloads of bulk seed, flax, barley, oats, peas. Sweet smell of last harvest's rotting crop. Sun low, barn cats grappling by the fuel tanks, air cooled by melting snow. When they taunt, "Where is your place?" The slough in the field west of our barns, stubble and dirt loosened from frost, furred willows, frog chorus, the coyote's dusk antiphonal, a bell's tongue in bone marrow. These things I remember as I pour out my soul. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sherry. That's amazing. Your whole book is amazing, and I had a pleasure of reading it. Thank you very much for doing your poetry, your scholarship at University of Saskatchewan. Thank you for that. Colleagues, welcome to the annual campus address. And in the next while, my plan is to take you through some of the highlights, some of the progress we have made, and some of the areas where we still have not made the type of progress that we all need to think about finding a way to make that. So there is some work at the end of the presentation, but we celebrate first. And so rolling into the presentation, I really want to thank our outstanding faculty, staff, students, and the leaders, because it's all their collective effort that I get to speak today and every year in September. It is the work that our colleagues do. Our leaders provide vision, support, infrastructure, motivation, and grad students and undergrads, they come from all over the world to University of Saskatchewan to pursue their careers. And then at the end of the staff that makes everything tick, from making sure there's heat, there's electricity, there's water in the taps, our safety personnel on campus keeping graduate students safe in the middle of the night when they're working in the laboratories, making sure our research infrastructure is safe. It is a collective effort that comes together to make this RSAW story that I am going to talk about. Before I begin any further, I want to really ask our new colleagues who have joined us this year to stand up for a moment so that we can recognize them and welcome them. Thank you so very much for coming from all around the globe to University of Saskatchewan to pursue your next discovery, your scholarship, your art, and your impactful work that you will do. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you for bringing these two pieces together so that we can have the faculty orientation on a day when we do campus address. Thank you very much for that. So I'm going to talk about the priorities we set last year and how much progress we have made about them. And I will lay out at the end the work which is ahead of us in this academic year. And then we also continue to talk about the strategy that is hoping to get us to where we need to be going. Let's look at some of the work that we have done. The priorities that we listed last year spoke to the support that we provide to our scholars, young and established, and the impact of the RSAW through community partnerships and the communication that we do locally and globally to signify what University of Saskatchewan is all about. And then, of course, we need quite a bit of funding and revenue to make this enterprise grow more impactful. Then, as a very active participant in truth and reconciliation work in this country, we continue to focus on the work of Indigenous scholars and the non-Indigenous scholars who work in partnership with the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit communities in this province and across the globe. As I've said over the last 2-3 years, health science research is something where we still have quite a bit of headspace to grow into, and that remains a multi-year project, and you will see some of the progress we have made in the last 1 year. By the numbers, again, very steady. We launched nearly 900 new projects, and we still continue to have more than 150 inventions and the patent families. Number of graduate students continues to be more than 4,500, and 40% of them are international. One of the major growth we have made in the last 4 years is in the number of postdoctoral fellows. When I took this role, we had about 200 plus few PDFs. And now the number is up to 327. Really great leadership from College of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies and the associate deans and the vice deans in the colleges to push hard on growing the number of PDFs on campus. Number of chairs, pretty steady. TEDx talks are there, but let me highlight the collective more than 100 drama, art, and musical performances that our colleagues have put together over the last 1 year. These are very high quality, international caliber drama, music, and the artistic exhibits that we have. In the community story, the TEDx talks, we opened them for the first time to the community on a -40 day in health sciences. The lecture hall was full. It was an amazing day over there. And then our People Around the World conference continues every year. Images of Research with Catherine Worden, launched about 10, 12 years ago, has now been replicated by nearly every university in the country. And then we hosted an international congress on anthrozoology that looks at the animal-human bond. And here's the Molly, which is a dog in the Paws Connection program at University of Saskatchewan. And the Bison Project continues to move forward, which is a community partnership with the First Nation and the Waniskeven Park to a certain extent. Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier came and we bestowed her with the highest honor that this university can do, with an honorary degree. And she becomes the first Nobel laureate to be receiving a DSc from University of Saskatchewan. And we brought in hundreds of high school students to listen to a talk by her. I'm sure they all left very inspired, having listened to a Nobel laureate. We were invited to a Art in the Park program in La Ronge. Dr. Jay Wilson, Andrew Fenton, Dr. Wallin, and others, Antonia Virchenko, they went there, spent a day with the community, creating art under the guidance of the First Nation elders and the knowledge keepers. Again, our community engagement story is getting firmed up, and I will also mention, just before the federal and the provincial elections, we did organize the voting rights seminars and discussions at Station 20 West in Saskatoon, so that people can exercise their constitutional right to vote. Dollars are easy to count, but there is a momentum. The 5-year rolling average of the revenue has gone from $206 million about 6 years ago to $323 the year before and $321 this year. It's about 26% increase. I can confidently say that this trajectory will continue till we hit the 400 million mark in 5 years' time. We are growing at 6 to 7% per year now, compared to 2 to 3% 5, 6, 7 years ago. So not only the bulk is there, but the speed is also there when it comes to growth of the program. Every year we bring millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. 23-24 was a banner year when we exceeded $400 million in 1 year. And then this year, again, very respectable, $267 million. This number goes up and down because of the nature of the competitions out there and the success rate we have in the competition. But you see from 2019 till today, we continue to grow if you draw a line through them. Some examples of the success in the SHARC area, Dr. Shen Wang is exploring the use of artificial intelligence in fitness apps. How does it change the behavior of people who use that app based on artificial intelligence? This is 2 grants that Dr. Wang got from SHARC. When we look at our international work, I will speak a bit more later into the presentation. Not only we have engagement in 60 countries through 250 agreements, we are also focused into Germany, Bangladesh, India, Brazil, soon to be in Japan and a couple of other countries. Marcus Hacker, Marcus Brinkman, Dr. Corinne Schuster-Wallace, Jafar Sultan, they engaged with their colleagues in Germany at Goethe University to win an NSERC Create grant to launch a 6-year program in environmental toxicology and water security. We possibly are among the top 3 or 4 universities in the country when it comes to success in NSERC Create program since the day the program was launched about 15 years ago. This is one component of that story which we have been doing for a while. This is a story which we need to speak a bit more. NSERC and SHARC launched a new funding program called Sustainable Agriculture. Dr. Christy Morrissey put together a team of scholars to be the successful grant applicant, 1 out of 16. That was all that were funded across the country. She gets about $4 million to work in partnership with colleagues from University of Calgary, University of Manitoba, Agriculture, Agri-Food Canada, and 13 industry and the community organizations to grow the use of the marginal agricultural land. There's lots of marginal land in the country. How do you optimize that? We can build this type of story only when we have the interdisciplinarity and the type of infrastructure through AgBio, CDC, biology, Global Institute for Food Security to bring it all together. This is where our successes lie, through collaboration and supporting each other's work. When it comes to high-risk, high-reward programs like New Frontiers Research Fund, here Dr. Stacy Lobo and Dr. Sue Kim from Rehabilitation Science School, they are using virtual reality to find a way to provide health information to First Nations and Métis communities. And they also are using the same to attract Indigenous youth into health science careers. They are working in partnership with the Whitecap Dakota First Nation. They are setting up a virtual healthcare hub at the nation. Our former colleague, Dr. Ivor Mendes, is leading that. So Dr. Lobo and Dr. Kim are working again with the First Nations communities to grow the healthcare and the move of the youth into healthcare sector in the coming years. A few years ago, Dr. Reed, who is a leading scholar when it comes to sustainability, got a SHARK partnership grant, which is a large one. She works in collaboration with many universities around the globe. But recently, these biosphere reserves, there are more than 700 of them around the globe. United Nations designates them. 3 of them are in South Africa. The largest one is the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve, which is 37,000 square kilometers on the margins of the Kruger National Park in that country. Dr. Reed gets $500,000 from Spencer Foundation in Chicago. This is the first grant ever from a highly competitive funding competition at the Spencer Foundation to launch an international partnership in sustainability education. This is the reach of our scholars to go get the resources and do the work around the globe to expand the partnerships and the impact of the University of Saskatchewan on sustainability. And CIHR, as I said, I will keep on bringing it back. We are on a really good firm ground now when it comes to the applications which go to CIHR for competition and also the success rate. Here is an example, $1.2 million to look at how some proteins in the cells either defend or support the viral replication, the yin and the yang. So Dr. Anil Kumar is leading that charge out of College of Medicine with that major funding from CIHR. And VIDO grew out of WCVM as a humble institute. It will be celebrating its 50th anniversary at the end of this month. The world cannot imagine pandemic preparedness without having VIDO as a vital link in the chain of laboratories which are spread around the globe. So this is the caliber that VIDO has attained. Dr. Trina Racine, along with Dr. Volker Gertz and Paul Hodgson, this is the leadership team there. They put together a $24 million successful grant application, a proactive grant application to Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. And that money is to develop a pan-coronavirus vaccine, so that you have one vaccine platform to protect against multiple pathogens. This is the type of work that can only be done in this country at VIDO, supported by very large-scale funding from international bodies. And similar is their arrangement with National Institutes of Health. So proud of this interdisciplinary institute that we have at University of Saskatchewan. Infrastructure build-up takes time. Believe me, lots of time I spend in day-to-day is to make sure we have the infrastructure that our scholars need to do the work they do. About 13 years ago, we embarked on Livestock and Forage Center of Excellence. About 6 years ago, Dr. Greg Adams and the team of colleagues brought $16 million from CFI, but still we were missing $3.5 million. And Dr. Adams and Terry Fonstad and Scott Wright, they engaged the cattle producers and Saskatchewan government, and we were lucky to get another $3.5 million to complete the buildup of this facility that will provide support to the beef cattle sector so they improve the performance of the cattle and also the sustainability of the operations as it comes into more and more into focus in these times. So again, building up of infrastructure is costly. I encourage everybody to use every bit of infrastructure we have before we build additional ones to save money and be more efficient in that. As our senior scholars continue to push the boundaries in their areas of scholarship, we have outstanding graduate students. Here are 3 Vanier scholars. Dr. Ariana Gibson is a PhD student in psychology, a Métis scholar. She's looking at the parent experiences of borderline personality disorder, the parents who have that disorder. Really, really meaningful, impactful work that Ariana is doing. Jeremy Irvine is in ag bio. He's working with the First Nations elders to figure out an insecticide-free pest control system for red clover crop. Think about that level of indigenous ways of thinking and applying it to the modern sustainable agriculture. Jinath Ritu is in biology. She's looking at the neurotoxins and how they alter the behavior and the neural pathways in people's mind when they get exposed to that. So this is the type of graduate students we are attracting to University of Saskatchewan and these days. The story can't be complete without undergraduate students. That's where the sparks get lit. And that's where people think about pursuing discovery after they finish their degrees. The first-year research experience, which was launched about a decade ago now, has more than 1,300 students there. Last week in this room, more than 100 posters were presented by undergraduate students. And that's where I also found a future career for me. I was told by a student that you do not need a license or a training to be a tattoo artist. That you can go buy a machine and set up a shop. So next time you need one, find me. So it's interesting. This student looked at the regulatory framework for tattoo artists. Beautiful poster. Who would have thought, right? A gap in public health, public care identified by an undergraduate student. We have 30% more undergraduate student awards in the last 4 years. They are linked to our Tri-Council funding, which provides you another evidence how our research funding is growing, opening opportunities for undergraduate students. Dr. Bobby Henry continues to lead this national network. He renewed its funding last year. It is the Network Environments for Indigenous Health Research. It looks into diverse topics, including youth gangs and how we can prevent young people from gaining entry into those, to the social determinants of health. And this is the program which is spread from coast to coast. It's run out of University of Saskatchewan. And Dr. Melissa Arcand looking into it, nature-based solutions for agri-food production through the Mother Earth Center in College of Agriculture and Bio Resources. University of Saskatchewan finished 2 CFREPs, one in water, another one in food. Now we are an institutional partner with Brain, Heart, Intrectome out of University of Ottawa. We are the lead on the Indigenous theme within that very large CFREF program. It again speaks to the caliber of the Indigenous health researchers at University of Saskatchewan that we were invited to be the lead on that very fulsome component of the CFREF. Continue to story around impact, Dr. Linda Chalico. She is discovering new ways to design drugs that will combat HIV infection. Saskatchewan has some of the highest rates in sexually transmitted diseases. And of course, the global challenge of HIV still is not gone away. And Dr. Chalico from Saskatchewan went away to study, came back, is the chair of the department, and is a stellar scholar funded by CIHR. And when we look at the impactful stories which happen, let me give you an example of Dr. Louis Boatois. He is a Raymond Medal recipient in 22, has published more than 2,000 peer-reviewed papers. He looks at how microorganisms were developing by looking at the fossils. It's interesting, the evolution of microorganisms by taking samples from the fossils to look at the evolutionary pathways of the bacteria, viruses, and a bunch of other things. Very impactful work in geological sciences by Louis. And BMO chair in regenerative agriculture. This university has been at regenerative agriculture forefront forever. And we are the jurisdiction in the country, or G7 country, that produces a bunch of crops with the lowest carbon footprint. It's because of our focus on sustainability, driven by innovation and science. Dr. Congraves, I always like to say she's a Guelph graduate, as I am, as is Steve Webb standing there, is the leader on that. She's looking at the nitrogen cycle in the soil and the nitrogenous fertilizer to increase the carbon footprint of the agriculture, agri-food system, and the fertilizer use that we have. So you're starting to see the diversity of the impact that University of Saskatchewan scholars have. We have excellent drama, art exhibits, and musician, Dr. Jennifer Lang is here. Dean McNeil has been pushing the boundaries when it comes to music composition and performance through interdisciplinary collaboration on quantum and so forth. I attended this concert, got regular in this room, where he composed music that can help our nervous system regulate in a better way during difficult times to support mental health in the communities. So music, art, and drama creates communities, creates a sense of vibrancy, and really creates hope in difficult times. And Dean McNeil's music is an example of that. Again, graduate student, Dr. Priyanka Tirumareddy, and postdoctoral fellow, Dr. Albin Joseph. Priyanka is with Dr. Ajay Dalai, doing work on going away from fossil fuels. And Albin is a postdoc with Dr. Kerry Simonson, looking at indoor air quality and using more, better air exchangers. They were finalists in the Falling Walls competition. This competition originated in Berlin when the Berlin Wall fell down a few years after that, to foster interdisciplinarity, to collapse the walls and bring ideas together. So they were the finalists, which is a very competitive process. And again, CGPS does a great job in mentoring our students to take opportunities as they come. Before I speak about Dr. Newman, our CRC numbers have gone up by 11. They are linked to the Tri-Council funding. For many years, we were at 30, 31. We never budged from that. In the last 5 years, we went up by 6. Last year, in the reallocation exercise, we are up by another 5 this year, meaning we can recruit 11 other top talent from anywhere in the world for this CHAIRS program. Our ideal number in 5 years' time should be about 65 to 75 when our CIHR funding grows. So we have quite a bit of space in which we can go. This is not because CRC number has expanded federally. Somebody got to lose for us to take. It's a zero-sum game. So it simply tells that we are growing at a much faster rate compared to many other institutions, and that's why we got 11 more CRCs for us. Dr. Newman is a globally recognized scholar, a former Rhodes Scholar in the area of Indigenous rights and communities and constitutional law. He is our newest Tier 1 Canada Research Chair. He is in the room, and he has traveled to 90 countries. He seeks and shares knowledge all around the globe. He's a sought-after speaker, and we are so proud of the work that Dwight does in College of Law in the area of law and communities and Indigenous rights as well. Many reasons to celebrate. Dr. Ingrid Pickering was YWCA Women of Distinction, Chief Science Officer at CLS, globally recognized synchrotron scientist, and 3 awards in the water category. Grant Ferguson for Darcy Lecture, John Pomeroy. This is the most distinguished award in hydrology, the Dooge Medal, that John will be receiving 4 weeks from now at the International Hydrology Meeting in India. We made to the final of the Stockholm Water Prize. This is the Nobel Prize in water research. Even to get into that final speaks volumes to the strength of the work that we do. Dr. Williamson is a psychologist, and she works on animal-human bond. If you go to her website, you will see a photo of a beautiful Saskatchewan sunset, which she took on day 1 she moved from Ontario to Saskatchewan. What a way to capture your first day. It's a very inspirational photo. You may want to go to her website and take a look at that. And David Natcher works with the Peace River Basin First Nations communities, got the Heckenberg Prize. Let me talk about McKelvey Kelly. McKelvey has been focused on Wyandot women's resistance when they were forcibly removed from their land in the Kansas City area. Wyandot indigenous communities are part of the Iroquois Confederacy that goes from Ontario down into the States. So capturing and documenting that resistance led by women in community building in the First Nation communities really gives lots of valuable lesson how to resist injustice and how to form communities when something like that happens. Really very impactful work. And Dr. Arinjay Banerjee brings so much recognition to University of Saskatchewan. He is the recipient of the first Emerging Leader Award from Canadian Academy of Health Sciences, which he will receive soon. And Arinjay is somewhere here in the room. He has a stellar group of trainees. His postdocs, Arkdev and Kaushal Baid and Victoria Gonzalez, are very well known at University of Saskatchewan for the work they do. I can tell you the names of Royal Society of Canada fellows and members, which will be announced tomorrow, if you give me your cell phones and stay in the room till tomorrow. So we are under embargo. We will celebrate more tomorrow. You will hear that news. It's very uplifting. Books. We have begun to talk about the books now. It takes 4, 5, 7 years to write a book. They are impactful contribution to an area, whether it is Métis Matriarchs by Dr. Cheryl Troop, which is one of the dozen books published by Department of History scholars over the last 2-3 years, or we are talking about the public good art graduates, Dr. Lolene Berdahl's book. She also writes a very well-received column in University Affairs. And then Jerry White really reimagined nationalism. When we think about nationalism, we think it's bad. But no, there is a way to use nationalism to build a better future for everybody in the community. Dr. White is in Department of English, and Dr. Lyndon Schmidt's book on flood forecasting is so true today because my own home state where I was born is under flood these days because of massive monsoon rain in that state in India. So we need to get better at flood forecasting. I want to highlight this number at the bottom first. Last year, we brought $97 million in international partnerships. So if you see our international team hosting delegations, sending delegations, this is the money which does not exist in Saskatchewan ecosystem. This is the money which we bring from outside to recruit hundreds of graduate students, run experiments, programs through international partnerships. This likely makes us among the top 3 or 4 universities in the country when it comes to international partnerships. I gave you examples of Germany and other places, but the impact through collaboration with German Academic Exchange Program, with Innovation Saskatchewan CEO Kerry Harvey and our President Peter Stoichev signed up this very unprecedented agreement with German Academic Exchange Service. They do not do agreements with the provincial governments. They always work federally. This may be the first time they have done it to increase student mobility between University of Saskatchewan. PA conference, the next one happens in October this year, focused on health, data, and quality of care. 2 outstanding keynote speakers, Andre Picard from Globe and Dr. Caulfield from University of Alberta will be here. I encourage you to register and attend. Dean Sarah Forgy and Stephen Ryan are co-chairing this particular Congress. This continues to grow in size and impact every year. So you see, with the funding support, with the right kind of events, which are impactful, we are organized locally and globally, whether it's Canadian Science Policy Program, we have this integrated enterprise now that will continue to grow in its size and impact. Health science, 2 points to make. Our success rate is up. We are submitting better applications. Mentorship program is in place. Darcy Marcinek and his team has really done a great job on this front. The game changer is going to be the creation of this Health Science Council. Over the 14 years of academic health science complex development, we never figured out a right kind of governance mechanism. In the last 1 year, our deans and associate deans, Terry and Dr. Jane Alcorn, and Vince and I, putting our heads together, we have come up with a new mechanism to support very strategic oversight of the health sciences work. when it comes to collaboration, interdisciplinarity, research, and the teaching programs. Hopefully, it will really galvanize the type of health science research we want to do. And health science is not only in College of Medicine. It is in computer science, nutrition, VIDO, CLS, veterinary medicine for animal models. It's a collective effort which we need to do together to really grow our CIHR funding by about $40 to $50 million over the next 5 years. We have a big target there. How do we do that? We improve, for example, human ethics support. Under Dr. Susan Jelinski's leadership, we have significantly reduced the processing time now to put us in the top 5 U15 universities time for application processing. A remarkable achievement in the last 2-3 years of steady work. Now with the new technology platform coming, it will get better. And then we are reimagining support for scholars across the campus, and we are undertaking a very different way of defining new interdisciplinary areas. Over the last 1 year, through a variety of small conversations, to figure out intersection between rural, remote, the North, and the indigenous. Now we are organizing a large group at the end of this month, because if there is one university in the country that can pull that off, it's us. Manitoba maybe, but us. So this is rural, remote, indigenous, and the North. So I think we are going to be leading the charge on developing this totally new and exciting area of interdisciplinary work at University of Saskatchewan. Research junction with City Hall continues to thrive every year. Now, collaboration is the key. In the last 3 years, a game changer has been under the leadership of the deans and the associate deans and work done by our AVPs. We have developed for the first time an RSAW plan and the target in every college and school. We never had that before. Now we provide structured feedback to the colleges. They can use those plans as part of the resource allocation exercise every year, which is led by our CFO along with the 4 VPs. This is interesting, the way each college has set their targets for funding, for publications, for music performances. They were free to pick those targets. And university relations, Cheryl Hamlin has really enhanced the reputation of this university through the campaign. This $500 million campaign was something that we all can be so proud of. And government relations, Sarah Daniels, I haven't seen her today, but her effort in putting us into the right kind of place so that the government and the universities continue to talk to each other. One of the story is Saskatchewan's research strategy. Sarah and I thought about this idea 2.5 years ago, presented it to the Premier and the ministers. Innovation Saskatchewan, I credit Carrie Harvey and Avery Wold at Innovation Saskatchewan for really leading the charge and building the research strategy for the province. We are the only second province in the country to have a research strategy that allows the university now to play within that landscape. This is quite a game changer. Facilities, Terry Fonstead continues to work to create collaborative facilities to reduce the cost, the best service to the researchers, and bring collaborators together. We are still not fully utilizing what we have at Fedoric, at CLS, at VIDO, at Global Institute for Food Security. We need to have more scholars engaging into those infrastructures at our campus. Lots of work still to be done. I gave you 3 examples. As you know, universe is dead, nearly. The research information management system is a big project which we are working with Greg Fowler and his team, and hopefully it will come into being. Indigenous people signature area of research, we are working with Elder Duquette to really gather the scholars and get them on a path of working together and growing that partnership with the First Nation and the Métis communities. Quite a bit of work there to be done, but Elder Duquette says this cannot be rushed. This has to be done slowly and carefully, so we are taking our time on that. CRC, we need to find a better way for the colleges to take the new Canada researchers. Vince and I have been working on a plan for the last few months. Hopefully, we will have a good mechanism in place where colleges are excited to compete to get a Canada researcher into their programs with the right kind of support that comes from us. The priorities for the next year, there are 3 of those. And you will see some of them continuing in a way. Look at the first one. We really want to think about exceptional RSA now. Excellence is good, but we need to be thinking about exceptional work. How do we get to that point? We need to modernize our infrastructure. As I said, we need to further enhance the support to the colleges and the schools through central teams, resource allocation, strategy, and operational matters. We need to do that. And then we need to increase collaboration. I think some of you have heard me say that University of Saskatchewan does its best work when we collaborate. We need to keep on finding ways to get together, and also there's need for alignment of the signature areas of research with our priorities, focusing a little bit more what can signature areas do to further enhance RSA at University of Saskatchewan. The second priority is to increase our funding with a special focus on health science. So there you will see some of the strategy around mentorship, bridge funding, collaboration, and then also the indigenous health piece, as I gave you examples of working with Whitecap, Dakota First Nation, or with the CFREF in Ottawa. And then graduate student postdoc funding. We are nearly stable for the last 5 years. We need a major bump in that funding somehow, either private fundraising or through colleges and schools, putting more of the money aside for that program, because grad students and the postdocs are the piece in this whole piece. Their excitement, their joy is what makes new discoveries possible. So we need to figure that piece out. Centrally, under Peter's leadership, we are talking about hiring more faculty, making a plan, and hopefully in the coming months, we will figure it out. I know we got a hit from international student story, but hopefully in the coming months, we will get on to that point. And next one. The priority 3 is, again, positioning us as a leader in impactful RSA locally and globally. I think we are already there in some areas. Agriculture, water, music, some of our artistic exhibits, they go from here to anywhere in the globe. Our vaccine institute, our historians, our public policy people, I think we have that impact, but we need to continue through transdisciplinary work. That's where there's the biggest need and opportunity for us to come together that really bring the transdisciplinary focus into our teaching, our research, into our events, our local to global engagements that we do. And campus-wide discussion that we do. As a last year and a half, I've been able to visit every department on campus, except maybe few, to sit down with my colleagues in preparation for the next university plan that we will be building in 26, 27 along that path. I wanted to understand by going to every department along with my colleagues from the OVPR as to what are the new areas which are emerging in the disciplines, what are the bottlenecks. So it is taking the time over a year and a half, then visiting about dozen or 20 businesses in the city to understand how can university work even better with the private sector to grow economic prosperity of the province. So hopefully this discussion will continue in the coming times. I want to thank the leadership team that Peter has assembled. Each one of them plays a very vital and defined role in our RSA. Whether Julian Demke a few years ago figuring out the Opus incubator pathway, or David Stack for his work on contracts, policy, legal work, and then Heather keeping our communication branded, aligned, and managing the risk there. Deep Hannah, our chief financial officer, really helping our centers and how we use our money each and every year. Cheryl raises money, we spend money. Greg Fowler. And want to talk about Peter. Peter's leadership has been transformational for this university. He became president when we were in very difficult time. He got a budget hit 2 years later. He got hit by pandemic 2 years later. But through all of that, University of Saskatchewan finds itself at a place where it has never been before. in our reputation, our impact, our output, the way people view University of Saskatchewan. Even in U15, his leadership as a chair of the U15 President's Group, his engagement in Ottawa from Prime Minister to the ministers has really, really placed this university for achieving even big things in the near future, as Vince, our dear colleague, who does everything with thoughtfulness and tries to take everybody together, steps into this role in January. Great days are ahead for University of Saskatchewan. The deans and colleges, I couldn't have asked for better colleagues, directors and the deans and the colleges, phenomenal leaders, the way they are driving RSAW and the growth of their programs. Here is a team that you all know. The guy standing at the end, not Terry, me. Other than that, everybody does something every day. So they are productive, they make things happen, and really amazing group of colleagues. Very stable team since I became VPR, not much turnover. It's a joy to work with all of them. Really a privilege to have them with me in servicing our colleagues. What do I do every day? I'm busy with many things. This is what I do. There are group of stellar women leaders from Grit McCreath, Shannon Chin, Jane Graham, Dara and Cheryl, Dawn, Tonia, an elegant GSA President David, and Emmanuel Charpentier at my home, my wife Sarabjit, Brett and Paul, and Walter Michel Squara. And Peter, I know I will take more of your selfies. There's only one of you in here. I will rectify this mistake. And then TEDx talks. Even Premier now likes the selfie. He knows when I'm there, there's going to be a selfie. We were in Germany. That guy in a blue suit leading in is Klaus Oosterreider, our long-standing collaborator and a dear friend of Volker Gertz and I. He's the president of Hanover Veterinary University. Next one. This is it. This was a big celebration, 570 million. I think the whole community felt a lift up on that day to raise that kind of money, to have people who believe in University of Saskatchewan, to invest in University of Saskatchewan is quite a thrilling experience for us to have. I have been told this is the longest line selfie ever taken at University of Saskatchewan. And I want to close by saying thank you to people in the front office, Alice, Diana, and Julie, for their welcoming, to everyone who comes to see us. Really proud of the work they do. I think that brings me to end. Thank you. I invite our president to speak first, then there is time for some question and answer, then there is cake, which is being sliced now. Peter?
Thank you very much, Baljit. It's wonderful to see so many people here, postdocs, senior leaders, new faculty members. Thank you very much for being here as well. I look forward to seeing you later on this afternoon. Undergraduate students, faculty, researchers of all kinds. Thank you, Baljit, for your tremendous leadership in getting the university on the research, scholarly, and artistic front to exactly where you have described it is now. You take a look at the talent that we've been able to attract through your leadership, the Vanier Scholars, the Royal Society members we're going to hear about tomorrow, and so many others. The amount of research funding that we've been able to bring in, and that steep upward tangent that you displayed on that graph in regards to that over the last several years. The international reputation that we have as a result of our research, scholarly, and artistic work, and the local and provincial and regional and national reputations that we have as a result of our research, scholarly, and artistic work too. And so much of that has to do with your leadership, so please join me in thanking Baljit. Plus, he is the best-looking VPR in the country. He even has a mug that says it. And it's no coincidence that he's the best selfie taker. Just a couple of things that I wanted to add, and I want to make sure that there's time for questions that Baljit can answer. One is that I really appreciate those three priorities for the coming year and beyond that you just mostly concluded your remarks with, Baljit. Thank you very much for laying that out for everybody. And one of them had to do with increasing our profile and our engagement locally, nationally, regionally, internationally, and so on. And I just emphasize the following. Because we have the kind of influence that we have now nationally, we say that we want to be the university that the world needs. Charlie Clark, former mayor, said, if you're going to do that, you got to start with being the university the city needs. The premier is always proud of the fact that we are the university that the province of Saskatchewan needs. It's really time for us to step up now to be the university that Canada needs. And Canada finds itself in a situation where it's faced with challenges and problems that no single federal government or opposition, no civil service, no team of bureaucrats can on their own solve. And everybody in Ottawa knows that it needs the researchers that this country has, and in many ways, particularly that this university has, in order to help Canada solve the challenges that it is facing today. So I ask you to consider whether there are opportunities there with the work that you do on the RSAW front, whether there are opportunities there for you to contribute to this very specific time in Canadian history where the nation needs the kinds of things that we are doing now, and it needs them now. Second thing that I'll say, final thing that I'll say, second thing that I'll say about that is a lot of that work, although we have tremendous strengths in the STEM areas, is actually in the social sciences and humanities and fine arts. And thanks, Sherry, for being part of the English department and bringing that to this event. But a lot of that work is in the social sciences and humanities. And I like to put it this way, that, COVID showed us this, that science did what was asked of it to produce a vaccine in 12 or 13 months. Volker and his team, Aaron J., and everybody certainly know that. It was in the non-scientific, non-STEM areas that are squarely in the purview of the social sciences and humanities that the world fell to its knees during COVID and took a long time to emerge from the pandemic. The same thing is what Canada is facing now. We need to understand how to solve interprovincial trade barriers. We need to understand how to develop greater tariff policy nationally and bilaterally and internationally. We need to understand how to solve the infrastructure issues that this country is facing. There's so many things that a Canadian government of today needs that we can supply. Everybody in this room can supply. So what I take from your presentation, Baljit, is that we should have the confidence that we are a really superb research-intensive university. And with that comes the fact that the world now looks at us and hopes that we can help it and the country meet the many challenges that we are all now facing. So thanks, Baljit, for your leadership, for having now the fourth of these, if I understand you correctly. They've all been packed houses and tremendous and a real celebration. Thank you all for your contributions to what Baljit talked about today.
Thank you, Peter. I think we have some time for a couple of comments. We have 5 minutes, so a couple of comments, questions, observations. Yeah, RNJ. Mike. He's so young. He pushes the chair out of the way, runs to the mic.
Sorry. Okay, good. Thanks, Dr. Singh. So some of us have lost American funding with what's going on in the South. So we've lost NIH money as well. So where do you think RSAW can potentially step in to help labs like myself?
Thank you. This is a question that our CFO and the VPs have been discussing. We have a bit of a plan in 2-3 ways. Number one, the grants which were already funded and they were midway through have now been canceled. We are looking at how to make sure that the work can continue and the graduate students and the postdocs continue to get their stipends. So we work with the deans and the department heads to make sure there is a mechanism in place with whatever support we can do from Central and the College of Graduate Studies and from the college where the faculty member is, we do that. Then there are grants which have gone through the peer review process, like yours in a way, where now they tell you cannot send the money to Canada. That is, in a way, we have not spent anything. So in a way, risk is less. I hope the scholarly work that you contributed to the grant, you can continue to do that and be credited for that. And the last piece is the future, whether we will continue to be engaged with the American funding bodies in the near term, because it takes a massive amount of effort to have a successful grant in NIH competition. So we need to think carefully, should we wait for things to settle down? So that's where our government relations team helps. Our CFO is fully engaged and all 4 VPs are on board. So anything we can do to help and support, we are here. And so please let us know. Thank you. Aranje is an example. We met him in 2013 in Berlin at a symposium. He was still in India as a grad student. Volker Gertz and I, we said we need to take this man to Saskatoon. We got him here for a PhD on bat coronaviruses, which were not sexy at all in 2014. And he did a PhD, went to McMaster, comes back, and here he is building something which is very impactful, one of its kind in the world, at VIDO. So you need to find talent wherever it is and do everything possible to bring them to University of Saskatchewan. I want to speak what Peter has said, the confidence. I think we are at that stage now. We need to think big, impactful, and really take this story forward at University of Saskatchewan. Other comments, questions? Yes, Mark.
Thank you for the nice presentation. I noted on one of your priorities there was a point about infrastructure, and that looked to be around computing, databases, assistance. What do you think in terms of other research infrastructure in the departments, renewing equipment, lab equipment for students, so they graduate here with using the cutting-edge technologies? You also see that as a priority to rebuild some of the aging technology infrastructure workshops, etc.?
That is the aim towards which this whole effort is, because the infrastructure is costly. So Terry Fonstad's portfolio, AVP infrastructure, was created exactly to do that. But there is also a challenge. We cannot build cutting-edge infrastructure in each department for 2 faculty members. This ought to be used each hour of the day, every day of the week. So unless we think about putting our heads together, creating cutting-edge infrastructure in selected places around the campus, which is managed, operated, and provided as a service to graduate students and the postdocs so that they can do their work nimbly and efficiently and effectively, and then we can replace those limited pieces of cutting-edge infrastructure that we have on campus. If you think that we can build one confocal microscope in every biomedical area, we cannot afford to do that. So I think that's where we are going, whether it is the Academic Health Science Complex under the new Governing Council, or the Saskatchewan Structural Science Center, or the microscopy facility in the veterinary school. I think that's where we are going. In 5 years' time, in partnership with Greg Fowler's team, I think we will get there. But without infrastructure, the talent won't come. So we need to have that. We are lucky that we are having major research facilities framework, which will assure 15-year-long funding to CLS and VIDO once we are in that mechanism. We are building up their grant application now. So I think in our country, the challenge of infrastructure is there. Another piece I think we need to think very creatively is through international partnerships, we should be using infrastructure in Germany, in India, and other places. Germans don't charge you anything for using their infrastructure. Why don't we go and use theirs? They are great people. And so all I'm saying is that sharing infrastructure, using it, so we need to rethink the way we think infrastructure. That's where I'm going. And that work is underway for the last 3 years. I think it will take another 3, 4, 5 years to get to a meaningful point. I think we can save lots of money that can be used for graduate scholarships and infrastructure renewal if we get to that point. Any other comment, questions? Thank you very much. I'm so grateful you come in hundreds every year to join in this celebration. And I know there are many people online. Thank you very much to all of you. And I'm going to invite Britt to make the last announcement about, I think it's cake. Yeah, I think it's cake.
So thanks again for coming. We encourage you to stick around if you have time to socialize with friends and colleagues. And in true Baljit fashion, there's cake. But we have a special treat. So while we socialize, we have the pleasure of listening to Rochelle Wright, who is an undergrad student in her 3rd year of the music program in the School for the Arts. She's also completing certificates in jazz and the Foundation of Drama. So thank you for being with us, and I hope you can enjoy to hear her music while you have some cake. Thank you.